Welcome to Okon Bros. This is Eric.
And I am Michael.
We have Mama Okon in the house, Phyllis.
AKA
Upon
Carol
request.
P. Roman, AKA Carol P. Roman, AKA Phyllis Okon, AKA The Boss, AKA CEO, AKA Queen,
Britt London,
AKA Britt London,
yeah.
AKA via request, I might add, my wife's aunt said you have to, Marilyn, my wife's aunt, Marilyn from Florida.
Big up to Marilyn.
She's like, you have to have your mother on. She's fantastic. I just want to hear everything that she has to say.
All right, Ma, we're just
on Instagram.
All right, Ma, we're gonna sit back. It's your show.
Monologue for 25 minutes.
No. I mean, I could probably start with, did you brush your teeth, clean your room? That's like the mom monologue, right? Yeah.
I took my vitamins this morning. I brushed my teeth and happy. I don't even know what today is. I think today's like Wednesday. Mm-hmm. So last night, I just want to mention, last night, we have some new subscribers to the channel, and I'm very grateful for it. Last night, it was actually a couple weeks ago, I had an interview with a gentleman.
It aired last night.
It aired last night. And as Eric and I increase our subscribership, we're going to be, is that even a word? Subscribership?
I don't see why it isn't.
Subscriber. It is now, right? As we increase our subscribers. I was interviewed on Inspire Nation podcast, and this gentleman, we had him on the podcast, Michael Sandler. Just a guy, he glows. You look at him and he's got this incredible aura.
Fabulous. I watched it live as it was premiering, and it was and you did his original podcast. You did the very first.
I was Michael Samuels, which is my alias for the books for my self-help books that I've written. I did that. I did his first podcast. I was guest 001 or 0001. And, he reached out to me and he said, listen, I read.
What was that, by the way?
That was about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I read, he wrote me. I still have the email. He's like, I read your book, Just Ask the Universe, and I would love to have you on my podcast. And I don't say no to anyone unless it's like, some creepy stuff, which doesn't happen often.
How many followers did he have at that point? None, right?
None. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Awesome.
He had nothing. And so he was terrified. Him and his wife Jessica, who were
go ahead,
Eric.
Do you know how many views that video got?
Your
first video that you did with him?
No.
Well over 30,000.
What?
No kidding.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? I know last night, I was watching the views and I saw it's now today. It's 8:00 in the morning on Wednesday morning. And that podcast we did has over 2,000 views, which is just the coolest thing ever. So I spoke with him after our interview, and he was so nice, and he was like, he was like, oh, woo woo and woohoo, and he's such great positive energy. And I said to him, I said, you have something fabulous going on here. You really have an amazing brand. Inspire Nation is an incredible name for a podcast because it tells the audience exactly what it is. And I said, you guys are going to be huge. You have to keep going the course. And he's like, thank you. You're my first guest. I don't know how this is going to go. And I've been listening to him over the years because everyone that he has on his podcast, I mean, Bruce Lipton, Eben Alexander, you name it, Dr. Joe Dispenza. These guys are all the books that I've read in my spiritual journey. And I've given it to you guys. And, these people will teach you about your subconscious mind, and the growth of our business, I think, has been due in part to this spiritual journey that we're all on.
More importantly, Daddy stayed alive because of those books.
100%. I should have mentioned that.
He was given zero chance, right? Like they said, him surviving when he was first diagnosed 17 years ago. It was in 2004. Mm-hmm. He was diagnosed, and they said if he slips through the eye of needle, maybe he'll make it for 5 years. And he lived for 14 years.
Yeah.
I mean, he broke every record for lung cancer.
I bought him when I first watched The Secret. I watched The Secret in Vegas. Sharon and I watched The Secret, and I thought it was just the coolest thing ever. I read the book literally within a day of the movie. And, then I said, how did The Secret become The Secret? And you look at the science of getting rich. And that's the original, right? That's the original.
But there's so much more. There's so much more to the science of getting rich, where, really what that led to is that, there is alternative information out there that can help you. And then that led to diet changes. And then I feel that was one of the biggest changes that Dad made that gave him more years, because he was morbidly obese.
Right.
And then we're like, Dad, do this. And he lost 100 pounds and he felt so much better. And I definitely feel that that added on more years to his life. But the point is that knowledge is power. And you can never stop going down that rabbit hole of information. And things change. I was on a diet path where I thought I was going to eat this way for the rest of my life, and it changed. And you can't be dogmatic about any of your approaches. And it was a long time coming, but before that I was on a different diet path. And information changes, your body changes, your mind changes, and you have to constantly reinvent yourself. If you're not reinventing yourself, if you think it's going to be like this forever, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Reinvention, it's a really important word. People get stuck. And everything I'm lauded that I'm this teacher and all this kind of stuff, but everything I learned from our talking all the time. We've always had this great osmosis and exchange of information. And I remember one time I was having a little bit of a tough time with one of my grandkids, and he just wasn't relating to me. And I remember, Michael, you said to me, Mom, you have to reinvent yourself. And so you're always going through reinventions. It doesn't have to be with just work. It doesn't have to be just diet. It doesn't have to be where you live. Reinvention occurs all the time. And when you think about it, if you're stagnating, you're not growing. So, and what's interesting is a lot of people don't like to read. Okay. A lot of people don't like to read.
But I think that's okay this day and age. There's so
Right.
many other sources.
YouTube. There's podcasts.
There's TikTok, for crying out loud.
TikTok, there's
Yeah.
You can listen to a book on every book has been you can get
I just want to mention a real quick thing about TikTok. I've been working out now more in my gym. I still try to keep active every day, but I'm back into lifting weights consistently now. And the people on TikTok that you want to talk about success leaves clues. These people on TikTok, they showed me a new bicep exercise with these dumbbells. I already noticed a difference within days of doing this exercise. I would have never been able to have learned about this if the thirst for knowledge was just, I'm fine, I'm going to keep doing this.
Well, you just jump into it.
Well, it's no, absolutely, but it's a metaphor for life that you could just keep doing. This is just bicep curls. You can keep doing bicep curls, and you really won't see progress because you're doing the same weight, the same repetition every time. Your muscles get used to it. Your mind gets used to the same thing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be wealthy. 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 Well, yeah, it's gonna come. It's gonna surround you. You will see results, but you have to. I liken this in Just Ask the Universe to up your bets, right? Like Mom, Eric, and I are gamblers. Dad was a gambler. Like we love to gamble. It's fun for us. It's an activity. We haven't done it in a while since COVID. But in order to,
it feels like we're gambling every day.
Right.
Yeah. It really does.
It does feel like a slot machine, like a craps table every day.
How much money's in the bank today?
We're gonna get
Right. But
reinventing your mind, working out your mind muscle is just as important as working out your physical muscle.
But you can't follow blindly either. You have to use common sense. If something doesn't sound right,
I think, and ultimately, you have to use your gut.
Right.
Right. Your gut is your best guide to what you think is right or wrong. And if it feels good, it probably is. But if you're not feeling it, step away, give it a week or two, go back to it. And if it's still not good, try and find a different path.
But you have to also look at alternatives. What's the downside of this? What's the upside of this? And you have to use your brain. You really have to, like you said, use your gut. Doesn't make sense, don't do it. But do you believe where the podcasts are going now? How many podcasts do you guys watch a week?
I mean,
a lot.
Yeah,
a lot.
That Inspire Nation. I just want to mention Inspire Nation. If there's someone on there who I'm really not into, like I don't really care about, I won't listen to it. But Inspire Nation, Joe Rogan has become my source for news. Same thing with Bill Maher on Twitter. I listen to these guys. Not that I believe in what they believe in. A lot of them are into drugs. I don't like drugs. That's not my belief. But if that's what they're into, good for them. I don't have to believe everything they say.
Right.
Tony Robbins is a vegan. It's not, or a vegetarian. It's not my belief, but good for them. That I would never tell anyone my belief is right and your belief is wrong. But getting to learn from these people, still, it's a nugget of information. You can learn anything from anybody.
Mhm.
So I wanted to switch gears for a second. I feel like, we're in the midst of COVID-19. And I feel like right now, more than any other time, we're in the dark night of the soul. And because it's very
Explain what
hard.
Dark Night of the Soul is.
Dark Night of the Soul is in the book Save the Cat by Blake Snyder. It's a screenplay writing book. And at the 25-minute mark before a movie ends, any movie on planet Earth, except maybe Quentin Tarantino and Stanley Kubrick, okay? Every single movie that's ever been written has a structure to it. And the last 25 minutes, there is a death. I don't know, the death could be symbolic. It could be physical. It could be
Death of a
mental.
marriage. It could be.
It could be the death of a plant. It could be
right.
a plant dying. It could
A
be
death of
anything.
an idea, a career.
Right. And that dark night of the soul, as Eric so eloquently stated, is the reason that death, there's going to be a rebirth now. And the rebirth, it's I don't want to get all religious either, but it's the death.
Well,
of
do an example in a movie. So, when was there a death, and then when did the rebirth happen afterwards? I don't want to put you on the spot, but
yeah, I mean, it's I come up with a
Back
movie.
to the Future. I mean, Back to the Future. He cannot. There was that scene at the end where it was the dark night of the soul, where he just couldn't get back, and then all of a sudden at the very last moment he does. And I feel like for all of us, that's the structure. That
Eric,
wasn't it, right? No,
that was not it. That was the storming of the castle scene, where when the protagonist is going to go into the castle and he has to have 5 things go wrong for him, and he has to overcome all 5 of those things. That's the last 10 minutes of the movie. Okay.
I could watch that movie today and still get excited.
Yes.
Where you're just like, how is he going to get out of
Real
it?
simple. Elf. And this is an example in Save the Cat. In the movie Elf, he's thinking, that he's not worthy of becoming human or whatever. I don't remember the movie, total, but the death of Han Solo in Star Wars, the death of Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars. What do? It propels them to overcome the bad guy. In Elf, he's on a bridge. I think he's on the 59th Street Bridge, and he's ready to jump off. And it's the death of his self, of his old self. And he propels himself into, the finale.
Right. So equating that to now,
right.
I feel, I don't know if it's personally or it's a group collective of businesses right now, but it's hard to see a way out. It's hard to see, is it going to get better, because it's just dragging on. There's the election, and by no means do I want to make this into political at all or anything like that, but
Who
it's just
who you voting for? Who you voting for? Who you voting for?
Mom. And I just feel like
I'm voting for myself. I'm putting my name in that.
Yeah.
Michael Okon for president.
Can you do that? I feel like
on anything you want, I think.
I feel like you don't.
No, you can. Okay.
The future is untold, and I think that the next 3 to 6 months are going to be very critical to how businesses are going to survive.
I think we're through the worst of it. To be honest, I think that we're through the worst of it, and the dark night of the soul is we're coming to this great kind of climax. And the climax for me is building that there's 2 kind of climaxes going on. We have September 1st, which seems to be the date that everybody is throwing around, and the election. So I think, like, as we've kind of dragged ourselves through this, it's for a lot of people, I mean, it's been hard, but fortunately it's been the summer. So I'm amazed when I drive through the area. I've gone to the office a few times, so I'll drive through our neighborhood. Our office is about 20 minutes from 10 minutes from the house. And I'm amazed at how many people are out and about, maybe they're not going to go back to school, and maybe they're going to work from home because they don't want to be in confined areas. And I get it. I mean, I certainly don't. But people are out. Like, when I think about what it was like in March, it was like a zombie apocalypse. I would go outside the front of our house,
By the way, for the subscribers, we live in New York. We live on the North Shore of Long
Long
Island.
Island. I would go out, and this is a busy area, and there was not a sound, not a plane, not a train. We could hear the train from our home.
It's weird hearing planes in the sky now.
Well, we've gotten, because Michael's been riding, the kids have been riding bikes in the evenings in front of the house, and we've been looking at the planes and seeing how every night there are more and more planes in the air. We've been monitoring that for about 3 weeks. But the point is, for me, I feel the worst was back in
April was pretty
April,
bad.
March, and because when we first closed down, when we made that decision to just make everyone go remote because we were afraid that COVID was going to spread within our own organization, and we wanted to keep contact to a minimal, and we went overnight. I have to say, this is the greatest team on earth. They went remote within 24 hours when I requested that we do it, and it was completely and we had no idea. I mean, groceries were being delivered. It was just a complete shutdown of society. And now people are kind of putting their feet in the water. Some people are sending their kids back to school. Some people aren't. No judgment there. Whatever works for people. Every time I go out, everybody's wearing a mask. So I feel like in our area, people have adjusted that this is now a way of life, and we're going to wear masks and we're going to wipe things down. So for me, we're through the dark night of the soul, Eric. I think what's coming is we're building to this kind of we're building to this moment.
So maybe we're in the
Slaying of the dragon.
Yeah, maybe we're in the slaying of the dragon, or we're
storming the castle.
We're storming the castle right now, where we're obviously still not through it.
Right. And I just want to say one more thing. A lot of people didn't make it. I mean, you drive through our town and restaurants and stores are closed. They're shuttered. Those people are not. So for them, that death, for me, those deaths already came. Right. I've seen, hair salon, nail salons, places that just cannot stay open because they're not going to be able to pay their rents. Then, I feel like we dragged ourselves through it. We were prudent. We were careful. And
so here's a question.
Yeah.
Somebody is having a tough time. And if someone doesn't know if they're going to make it, their business, or they have to move, or, because of the circumstances that are going on, what can they do? What books can they read? What strategies can they do? What mindset changes can they make?
I'm going to first
to succeed.
I'm just, listen, I'm not going to offer professional advice, right? I'm not a shrink, like we're not shrinks. We don't have degrees in this stuff. But what I can do is say
coach. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you don't need a certificate to be a life coach, but I'm going to tell you, right? We're going to tell you what's worked for us, and shut the news off. Shut the news off and start learning. Start buying books that are going to help you emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. That has worked for me. That's worked for Eric and Mom, because the news will drive you insane. And it's no offense to
Michael. I think that that's extreme, and I think that people have to do a little bit of everything.
For people, excuse me one second, Mom. For people, for people who Eric can't start eating sugar again. Really and truly, Eric really can't start eating sugar again because it's a slippery slope. And he can't eat bagels again. It's for people that know Eric eats a very low carb diet, and he gave up sugar and carbs a long time ago. Eric can't eat pasta again because of it's going to drag him back down.
Let me just say this. I don't mean to interrupt you, but he can eat rice. So in other words, you have to pick and choose what you're going to do. It's never all of one and not. I get what you're saying. The news is a distraction, and I agree with you. But you have to put what I think the difference between. I understand with you, it's always do this, and and this is sometimes, and this is the most important thing. This is what people need more than anything else, is they have to talk to other people and have new ideas come in. There has to be perspective and limit to everything, Michael. You can't live in the news. You cannot take the news and immerse yourself to the point that you can't do anything. You have to take everything. And the biggest thing I've learned about this, like with every other crisis, I mean, the worst has already happened to me. Daddy got sick and eventually he died. So that's the worst.
That's the ultimate perspective, right?
The ultimate worst. So for me, while this is terrible and it's been horrible, I've learned to have the strong support of the best employees in the country. This tested every key person in the company, and I saw who was really there for me and will be there for us, not me, but meaning for BLS. That was number one. Number two, it tested the family, and our entire family united and got together and spoke to each other and helped each other. And you've been on the phone with your aunts, your uncles, your, extended family, and everybody's been generous in advice and being
Yeah.
there for the
And
next
I
person.
and I just wanna say, if you don't have that, if you don't have a close family, if you don't have close friends, I think the internet is the most powerful tool to create connections with people. Go on the Inspire Nation podcast and go into the comments, make relationships with people that are like-minded, that want to grow also. There's Reddit, and Reddit has amazing communities where you can go and create relationships with people online based around your common interests.
I would be
And
careful. I just want to mention, speaking of social media, LinkedIn is an incredible tool, pure positivity,
Right.
pure light, pure love from people saying, you got this, we could hire. There was a guy on Twitter yesterday, and he sold a screenplay, and he wrote in he wrote in a tweet, and I don't really respond to people much on Twitter, because if you do, you will get about 10 toxic remarks back to you. So you have to keep it very professional and very like short on Twitter. And this guy sold a screenplay, and it was optioned or whatever the case, but he's making progress in the film industry. And he goes, I still don't have representation. He has an entertainment attorney, but he doesn't have representation. He's like, is this a face that you want to punch? Why can't someone just start representing me? And I don't realize how fortunate I am that I have representation. I wrote him, I said, it's the complete opposite problem for me. I have representation, and I've had 3 books published, and that's it. I have 1 option and 3 books published, which is still so amazing from where I came from. But I said, you have to be on LinkedIn. I said, being on Twitter is not going to get you representation. Being on Twitter is going to get you toxic remarks from people who are not supportive of your endeavors. LinkedIn, you can't believe how many agents are on there from creative artists. You can't believe from all the management companies. They're all on there networking on LinkedIn.
For the record, the money's on LinkedIn.
The money's on LinkedIn. And if I didn't have an entertainment attorney, LinkedIn would have gotten me one. If I didn't have a literary agent, LinkedIn would have gotten me one.
You can literally search, agent.
Talent manager.
Yeah, talent manager, and then you can go and reach out to every single one of them.
I have no doubt that Michael would have gotten a literary agent in the morgue.
Well, that's just our style.
Tell me more. Tell him more.
No, Michael, your energy is always you're like a bright sun, and Eric is like a cool moon. You're just so opposite, and
Eric's dark, brooding, and depressing.
No, he's not at all, but he's intense, and he's as bright as the sun. So it's like,
I'm teasing.
In that way,
I bring out people's inner werewolves.
That's it. Oh, you do. But yeah, you're right. You can't be like, just go on Twitter, just go on LinkedIn.
No.
It's just there's every, and that's what I'm trying to say is that there's communities everywhere. Right. And while we have our family community, we have our business community, we have our online community too. And it helps. And on LinkedIn, like I want to get on LinkedIn Live in the worst way. In the worst way, I want to get on LinkedIn Live.
Are you hearing that? Are you hearing that, LinkedIn? Are you hearing that?
I want to get on there in the worst way. So I posted that, hey, who has insight to this?
Did you get responses?
Yeah, I did. As a matter of fact. Greg from the bank said, he's like, I used to work in this building with this guy who has LinkedIn Live. Maybe he can give you some pointers. He messaged me. He's like, DM me your number. I'll call you tomorrow, which is today. And then
awesome.
And then Adam also endorsed him, which is weird that they're
Holzer.
Yeah, which is weird.
Are you talking about Mitchell Greenbaum or Greenberg or something?
Yeah.
I get alerts on my phone every night. I think at like 6 p.m. when his podcasts go live. Yeah. Great guy. I mean,
so hopefully he'll get some insight. And I also messaged the senior product manager of LinkedIn Live. So that's the power of LinkedIn, that I have access to that person, that I'm having issues doing it. I've applied 4 times and I can't do it.
Well, why don't you just stop it too, Eric? It didn't work out for you. Like, why didn't you just be like, oh, screw it, I'm done?
I mean, I feel like
LinkedIn needs me more now than I need LinkedIn.
Why didn't I stop it too? Because I want it.
Right.
It's just
All
that
right.
simple,
I think
and
we
you
should
know, you
stop the
can't.
podcast right now because you just said everything that needed to be said. I
Right.
want it, and I'm not stopping till I get
But
it.
Eric, this is new for you. Like, in other words, you would want, growing up, you wanted very specific things and you didn't care about much. You know,
Mhm.
Michael was more, Michael
Well,
had
I
more
mean,
goals, you know.
everybody wants. I mean, I wanted rollerblades. Like that.
And you
I definitely had my opinions and wants.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, it's just an example, and uh,
but you're definitely more laid back about these things. And
there is a yin and there's a most definite a yin and a yang. That Michael is all emotion,
Mhm.
and I'm
Pa-
definitely more
pa-
analytical.
Passion is a big
Passion.
difference. I'm
But
I'm passionate, and I do my emotions. I have learned to rein in. I have learned to keep them under control
no
because,
doubt,
and that's why I couldn't watch the news because it would stir up my emotions
Yeah,
and I would
but
get
but
angry and upset.
I understand, but you can't tell other people not to watch the news.
right.
And that's what you were doing.
Mhm.
And that's the point that mom's trying to make.
For people, no, my point is for people who are frustrated, who are hurt, who are angry, the news is just going to acerbate that. It's not going to help it. If you are frustrated and angry and stuck in the doldrums of where you are right now in life and you're not happy, that was the point of it, Eric. I'm not telling people not to watch the news. The news is very informative. I'm on Google News every single day just to skim to see, okay, well, this happened, this happened, this happened. But watching the news and hearing the commentary, it was stressing me out. It was freaking me out that I feel like we were never going to get out of this.
What I did was with the news is I feel like whenever there is an opinion, it's not the news. And I always now go try and find sources where they just tell me what happened, and I will make my own opinion on how I feel about it.
That's what Google News is. Yes.
I do not need somebody telling me how to feel about a specific topic. So I found sources, and even the sources, it's hard for the writer not to, because I don't necessarily watch the news. I'll read the news, and the writer will sometimes put his opinion in, and it kind of disguises it as facts, and that's something that I'm very aware of
Mhm.
in my life.
Mhm. When it comes to reinventing yourself, I don't think we answered the actual question. I
I
mean,
think
well,
reinventing, well, we started to, and I think the first step is that you have to bounce ideas off of other people.
Right.
And I think
get
that
involved in a community, in
in
a
a sit
positive community.
yeah, in a community of like-minded people, but you have to be careful you're not in an echo chamber, because
Mhm.
you need differences of opinion, because you see the conversation that the three of us are having, that, we thought Michael was going a little bit too far with what he was saying, and that's par for the course in our conversations, that Michael will go so far deep into saying, this is what you have to do. You have to do a news race. You can't do this. You can't do that. And then we usually will rein it back in. But also likewise, sometimes I may not do enough. And then somebody will come in and say, you're not doing enough. You have to do more. And I think that's the beauty of having relationships with people.
And not
Um,
just the same people.
yeah, right, no, absolutely. Like I used to get offended when people didn't agree with me. I used to like really bother me saying, how could they not understand that? I mean, it's clear, it's logical, it's right there. And then I learned that everyone has an opinion, right? It's not just my opinion. Everyone has it. Like right now,
What's the
I,
saying? The saying is, opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one.
yeah, you could say it like that. Yeah, it's really funny. I make these top 10 lists on LinkedIn just as a playful thing. Just, these are my lists of, and I had a comment today. I'm in top 10 guitarists of all time, which was an incredible list. I mean, got a lot of views and it got a lot of people talking. And, Jimmy Page was my number one from Led Zeppelin, goes down to Jimi Hendrix, blah, blah, blah. And I have an honorable mention list, James Hetfield, Metallica. I mean, these guys who are in the zeitgeist of humanity. I mean, like these people are known in every single household around the world. And I got a comment today, how could you not have, I forgot even the guitar, Santana in your top 10? How could you do that? And it's like, and I wrote him, this is my list, bro. Make a list. Make a list.
I
Maybe
mean,
Santana's in your top 10.
he's kind of right. I mean,
Santana was in my honorable mention, and he was wrong with Stevie Ray Vaughan. Stevie Ray Vaughan was in my top 10, but he said it wasn't. So he clearly skimmed over my shit. But my point is, like, Make a list. Just because I have a list doesn't mean I'm God and that's, the be all and end all. I'm asking myself a question. I'm putting a question out there. Name your top 10 guitarists. Mine are, and I name top 10.
But what's happening here is that people are forgetting that everybody has a point of view.
Yes.
And that everybody has one square foot, and we have to respect. And this is what's
you've been teaching us that for as long as I can
That's
remember.
Stephen Covey, Eric.
Yeah, that's Stephen Covey
101.
Daddy and I read that book, A Landscaper.
Mike Rittenhouse. Mike Rittenhouse.
Big shout out to Michael Rittenhouse.
Yeah, he's
Michael Rittenhouse owns Remove It Man.
Right.
And he was our Uncle Stuart's best friend in Syosset High School.
Right. And he was a landscaper who built a huge business into where he manages big properties. And one day we met at outside a coffee shop. We were getting coffee, and he managed this place. And he said, "Read this book." And it was a hard book. Daddy didn't read English well. It wasn't easy for him, so he got the audio, and I read the book. And then we spent so many hours breaking apart this book. And then he gave it to Vinny, and he gave it to Kevin to read.
He gave it to me. He gave it to me.
To you. He gave it to everybody in our orbit. And he said, "Read this book. It changed my life. It changed Mike Rittenhouse's life, changed our life." And what we learned is one of my favorite stories was there was a man on a train, and he was his kids he had 4 kids or 2 kids, whatever it was, and the kids were misbehaving on the train, and he was just sitting and ignoring that these kids were being wild on the train. They
weren't his kids.
No, they were his kids. They were his kids. They were his children, and they were being wild. They were, I don't know, picking gum off the floor, whatever they were doing. They were doing stuff that, so a woman walked over and she said, "What kind of father are you? That you would let your, and she criticized him. And he turned around and he said, "Well, we're on our way home from the hospital, and they just lost their mother, and I just lost my wife. So I figured I'd let them blow off some steam." And it was like a life-defining. I don't remember things. Like when I read it, it's like I read it and I forget it. And this thing stayed with me, that when you look at somebody and you judge them or you criticize them, you have to know what's going on in their lives. How, like even a simple statement like you said, don't watch the news. People have to understand it's not just a blanket statement. The news upsets you. You're passionate. When you watch the news, you get caught up in it. It's not like you watch it and you dismiss it. Right. You worry. You worry about the people in the news. You worry about the people that they're reporting. You worry about the whole world. Like there's just so much more to every person, and people just are so filled with their own. I don't know. Maybe it's this. Maybe there's so.
No, because when you read that book, there was no such thing as the cell phone.
No, there wasn't. I think. Yes, you're right. You're right. There wasn't social media. So it's a pity that people have stopped. And so that became a tenet of our household, that when somebody did something to you, maybe they weren't just being a bully. Maybe they were in some kind of pain. Maybe we had to examine why they were doing it. Mm-hmm. Not saying that we had to take guilt or responsibility for it, but we didn't have to judge it and say
it's putting your will on other people, and
that's right.
that is just wrong. And
that's Wallace Wattles 101.
Wallace Wattles 101, and every self-help book, every law of attraction book has a different variation of that topic, and it's incredibly important for success. It's incredibly important when you want to be a leader or an entrepreneur, that you have to understand what is going on in that other person's life, and mm-hmm. that you cannot judge them based on your point of view of what you may think that it is. Because 99% of the time it is wrong.
Our father imposed his will on a lot of people,
and he was a very happy guy.
Yeah, because he was constantly setting. George Carlin said, "My needs aren't being met. My needs aren't being met." Well, drop some of your needs, right? And we said that to Dad once. The Dad was towards the end. It was the last 2 years of his life, and his needs weren't being met. It didn't matter if Eric and I were jumping through hoops. It didn't, and we don't have issues about this. We're saying it like it is. We couldn't meet. He was angry at our uncle, and he wanted this to go on, and nobody could meet his needs, and he was miserable beyond belief. So we said to him, I'm going to tell you what George Carlin said. If people aren't meeting your needs, drop some of your needs. Let it go. So if they're not meeting your needs, so lower your bar, lower your standards to what they can meet, and be happy with what you can get from them.
How dare you have a bar set for other people?
Well, he did. He
did. And it was, I feel it was a learning, something for us to learn that you can't do that to other people. And
you can have certain expectations of
people.
Could,
if someone's working for you, if you are working with someone, yes, there are certain expectations of how people should act, and you have to get the job done, so you can't be a pushover, certainly. But if someone is having a problem and they're taking off too much, or if you see that their head isn't in the game,
they're abusing a situation, not physically abusing, but
right.
Abusing
if you see what's going on, 9 times out of 10, if you go and have a conversation with them and you say, "What's up?" that will and you break down the bullshit barrier, and you find out what is going on, you can try and fix it.
Nothing
sometimes
drives,
what did Gary Vee say about firing somebody? There was a great
hiring is knowing, hiring is guessing, firing is knowing.
Right.
Had that that happens so often, where yes, you take a gamble on somebody, and that's and you have to when you hire somebody, but the dirt's going to come out in the wash.
But aren't you taking a gamble on everything you do? Like Michael took a gamble by going on that podcast the first time. You took a gamble by setting up you were the driving force for this part, for
right.
doing all this stuff on LinkedIn, and certainly,
yeah, you're guessing with everything, and results are the only thing that you will know.
Right. But it's been fun, right? More than anything else.
Above all else, it's fun, and it's fun to try and succeed. It's fun to try and win. It's fun to try and grow a subscriber base.
I want to say something here. Let me think. So you had your life ripped apart, right? In March, your life's work, both of you, you've been a part of this business since you were in diapers, right? It was in our kitchen. It moved from everything revolved, all our vacations revolved. So your whole life upended, right?
I don't know anything but BLS.
Right. Well, you do know a lot of stuff, but that's aside from the point, but your livelihood's been,
I'm saying I've never worked in a corporate office, Mom.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like my work life, I don't know. When we vacation, it's revolving around how we can grow BLS. Right.
Okay. So your life was upended. You both have families, you have homes, you have responsibilities,
mortgages.
We've had to give up more than most anybody in the company. We took the biggest steps to ensure that people had jobs and that we were paying our fiscal responsibilities to everybody else. We're doing it slow, but we're doing it, right? We stopped. We took the biggest sacrifice, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. Your kids have been home from school, so your lives have been, you're homeschooling. You're doing all this, right? And during this time period, did you sit and get caught up in the drama that's happening? Did you give up? Did you when we were in that dark night of soul, what did you guys do? You did something very definitely. I don't even know if you're aware that you did. You took all your energy and you put it into something. What did you put your energy into?
I mean, a lot of different things.
But first of all, you like after the first 2 weeks, you both looked at each other and said, "We've got to do stuff." We looked at each other.
Yeah.
Put your energy into rebuilding the brand, the health brand. But more than that, you built your podcast. You used this time when you could have been sitting home and contemplating your belly button and feeling sorry for yourself. Instead, you took this day. You were proactive in your life, and you said, "Let's get this podcast." Move it. How many days a week do you do the podcast now?
At least two.
And how many guests have you had on? And since we've been,
70?
Yeah. No, I mean, we've done about 70 to 80 shows. I would say we probably had about 30 to 40 guests.
Right, but you searched out these people, you
Yeah,
looked for them.
sometimes they searched out us, and it's definitely snowballing
Right,
a little bit, which is fun. And,
which
and we learned something that, this podcast is going to be live streamed, 8 p.m. Eastern,
right.
which, I'm gonna be saying this probably at 8:40 Eastern, but, that is we learn, and that was from when we learned that from Michael Sandler, where he's like, you have to premiere your podcast, you have to premiere your show, and then you have to go and talk with whoever's there. And while I was always kind of like, I don't want to do that because I don't know who's going to show up, Michael's like, no, we have to do it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Um,
take this because it's Roanoke, Virginia. I have no
no,
idea.
no, no, we're live, Ma, not now.
Oh, okay.
We're
All right.
live. But with
Yeah.
that, I think we can pretty much sign off because
Do you know what's in Roanoke, Virginia?
No, I have no idea. Like who could
nothing,
Nothing. Just
nothing.
you're
oh,
good.
okay, so-
You're good.
Our mother. I just want to before we sign off, Eric. We still have a few minutes.
Well, no,
here.
I have to go. I got a phone call, and then I have a meeting at 9:30. So
Our mother responds to junk mail. Our mother, our mother, always responds to robocalls.
hello.
If someone calls and goes, you've just won, and
I
she.
don't buy into it.
My favorite thing is when
this real?
my favorite thing is when you practically nearly took down almost all of BLS when you infected us with a virus because you thought someone was buying Delta airline tickets on your credit card, and it was just you should have never opened that email because it was a virus. And but yes, our mother is the smartest.
Hold on. $500,000 later, I think Mom learned her lesson.
Yeah,
I certainly hope so.
Right. But I gotta say, you are one of the smartest people we know, building a beautiful, amazing business, raising two amazing, delicious, gorgeous children, and handsome, gorgeous, and smart, and funny, and sexy, and
productive.
No, okay. But I gotta tell you, you are third rate when it comes to answering
Let me explain.
junk mail. There's no reason like Eric.
Roanoke, Virginia. No,
Roanoke, Virginia's calling. Who cares who's calling? If it's so important, they will leave a message and you will get back to them.
It was being delivered today, so I don't know if that was them.
Oh, okay.
But
okay. You'll be fine. What does the critical drinker say? What is it'll be fine. Fine. By the way, I live by that now. I don't know if anyone on this podcast listens to the critical drinker.
Listen to the critical drinker on YouTube.
He skewers films. He calls out the bullshit. He's not passive aggressive. And everything it'll be fine, right? You write a shitty script and the protagonist is going to escape through fire. How? It'll be fine. Mom, Roanoke, Virginia, it'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree. But I always like opportunity. I don't like to. I think maybe.
Let me tell you something. If that was like an LA number calling you,
robocall, and it's
you never know that
8:46 in the morning. Everything is fine.
If that was Hollywood calling you to say we just purchased all of your stuff and we're putting on Disney Plus,
right?
I get it. You got to jump off the podcast. It was from Roanoke, Virginia.
Listen to me. Like, subscribe, comment,
share. I want to thank the new subscribers who came over from Inspire Nation. You guys have a lot. We have a lot in store. We have a lot of cool guests coming up.
And we have a lot of great previous content. I mean, we have some 80 or so shows.
And people ask me, I just want to say, Eric, on the chat yesterday when I was on Inspire Nation, people were like, what's your podcast about? Our podcast is about the law of attraction and business. And everyone's like, that is the greatest marriage that you could have possibly done, to talk about spirituality.
Well, and honestly,
growth and self-development and business.
It's basically just about whatever we are interested in, where, we like travel, we like private jets, we like cars, we like business, we like law of attraction. And, we're certainly not going to box ourselves into anything. And, when we interview somebody, and I think we'll leave it here, but when we interview somebody, we do it as a viewer first. We go into an interview not really knowing anything about the person, and we genuinely want to learn what they're all about.
But sometimes you come out changed.
Absolutely.
Sometimes
we always do, though. But that's the point of learning and growth, is that before you get into that interview, you know a little bit about the person. Like when we interviewed Jonathan Dector, that movie producer, I knew he produced I Feel Pretty and shocking the Zac Efron movie. I always botch that title.
Shockingly Evil, Vile.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Wicked, whatever. But there was stuff that I understand, but there was stuff that on there that I had no idea about. Everyone, like, subscribe, leave comments down below. Welcome to Okon Bros. I am Michael.
Thanks for having me, guys.
I'm Eric, and this is
And
Phyllis.
this is Mama Okon. Thank you all.
Later,
Bye-bye.
guys. Oh, clicked the wrong one.
You botched that
Mom,
ending.
mom left. All right.
Mom left.
Later, guys.